Hey everybody, welcome to Indie Strong. I am Jennifer McMurrain, your host, and this is episode 9. So welcome everybody. And I just want to say that ironically, this is episode 9, which is possibly the amount of candy I ate right before I came online. So if I'm at a little bit of a sugar high, don't judge. It's Halloween Eve, or whatever. Anyway, didn't I say that joke last time? I'm telling you, it's the sugar. It's all the sugar. That basket was full behind me. It's still pretty full, but now it's not like over full because I'm over full. Yeah. So anyway, I might be on a little bit of a sugar high. I have absolutely no willpower. And if I complain about not being able to sleep tonight, there's no reason for you to bring up this little chit chat facts that I ate all the sugar at 10 o'clock at night. Okay. All right. Glad we see eye to eye to that on that. So again, not seeing anything as far as comments and stuff. So if I don't respond, it's just because I don't see them. I did contemplate a little bit about just doing strictly YouTube since I can't interact anyway. But you know what? This is working. It's working for me. You guys know what time I'm going to be on. I have a goal. I'm going to be live, so I have to make sure that I'm doing it because you guys are counting on it. And so, like my friend Liz said, the key is to be consistent. And so I'm going to be consistent and I'm going to stay on Facebook. And I hope they work out the glitches about whether or not I can see the comments. Because like I said, I really wanted this to be interactive. And it seemed the other day on Halloween when I did my nano prep live on my phone, it seemed to work better. Like I was seeing the comments. And so maybe it's just a glitch with the computer. And I will have to ask my techie husband about that when he is less busy, because right now is not the time. So I hope you guys that are participating in NaNoWriMo are doing well. Remember, the goal is 1,667 words a day, but any words you write is a good thing because you're making progress in your manuscript. So if you're not quite reaching that goal daily, that's okay. Keep striving for that magical number of 1,666 words, but don't stress out about it. You cannot beat yourself up during this process. Like I said, this is a challenge to help you get into the habit of writing every day. Full disclosure, I am talking to myself as much as I am talking to you guys. I'm behind in my word count. My husband has been super busy at work, which is one of the reasons I haven't asked him about why the computer is acting differently on the Facebook Live than the phone. It may just be that my computer is older than my phone. I don't know. I'm not a techie. I married a tech guy for a reason. But he has been super busy for like the last 1,100 days. Okay, like maybe just 8 days, but still, I've been doing all things kiddo, morning, noon, and night, even on the weekends, because he has just been super busy, and it's almost as if he's not here. So yeah, so I'm behind. I get super tired, and so you're probably like, why are you telling me this? Well, because it's real life. Things happen, and even though I know that right now my thing is temporary, I know that when this phase of my husband's project ends, then he'll be around and he has a 3-day weekend coming up and I plan on utilizing some of that time to catch up on my writing. But I just want you to know that it's not, even for those of us who have written 50,000 words in a month sporadically, but we've done it, it's not easy. It's a challenge for a reason. Even for those of us who write quickly, it's a challenge. Life gets in the way and you're not alone, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I don't want anybody to think that they're alone. Your situation might not be temporary, but I still feel like you can do it. So we're starting a new habit. New habits are hard to start. You know, if you're trying to get into the habit of working out daily, that's hard. If you're in the habit of cutting out the fast food and cooking every night, that's hard. It seems to me like the only easy habits to pick up are the bad ones, like eating fast food every night. So you know, we're starting a new habit. It's only the 3rd. We have time. So don't let your word count get you down. Just remember to make that writing time, schedule that writing time, keep it sacred, and do your best. That's all. You don't have to be the angsty writer. It's okay. It's okay to be joyful and still not meet that goal. It's fine. Okay. We're doing what we love. We're writing. Okay, so we're going to take a deep breath. We're going to schedule that writing time and we're going to write. And I'm talking to myself just as much as I'm talking to you guys. No excuses, not even if my husband is working late again. I'm ready for this project part to be over, but you know what? I love him. He loves what he does. I really love my office and my house and food. So, you know, we're partners. Right now he's busy. When I'm busy, he'll take over. That's what we do. So let's get to the questions, shall we? Okay. Cassie in Missouri asks, you mentioned a brand when talking about pen names. What is that? That's a very good question, Cassie. And I did say we were going to go back to it. So thank you for sending me this. So a little reminder to go back to it. Okay, we're going to start with nonfiction because that is easier when it comes to talking about brands. With nonfiction, it's kind of like in your face. So you get it. Let's start with my friend Heather Davis. Okay, she writes what would be considered memoir, nonfiction, creative writing, humor. So probably not in that order, but so she takes a slice of life and she finds the humor in it and she writes about it, and you will be giggling so hard that you might even wet your pants. It's possible. There's a disclaimer and everything. It's happened to people before. But you know when you pick up a Heather Davis book that you're going to get that slice of life, that you're going to get that humor, and that she's probably going to tell you too much information about her life, like, you know, eat a little bit when she laughs, stuff like that. So that's her brand. Her brand is to take life that we all live. She has 2 kids, a husband. They both work full time. They also have extra jobs because they're teachers in Oklahoma, and they have to because they don't get paid nearly enough. Vote. Okay, so, and her mom lives with her. So she is juggling all of this, and that's what her books are about. The juggle, the humor that takes place when you drop a ball, you know, how to keep it all up in the air, and, you know, how to laugh while doing it. They're really good. So we know that when we pick up a Heather Davis book, that it's going to be humorous, that it's going to be about life. This one is mostly about being part of the sandwich generation because her mother moved in with her. So there's other ones about dating and kids and girlfriends. And so anyway, so we know her brand. She's a mama. She's writing about life. She's going to make us laugh. Which brings us, so before I go on to fiction, but let's say that you write about politics. Okay, well, politics are your brand. So you would be talking about politics. That's your platform. That's your brand. If you are a self-help writer and you're writing self-help books to help people write better, then you would be, that would be your brand. Sorry, lost my train of thought. It's all that sugar. It's really not good for you. I'm going to have to take my friend Diane Campos up on her offer to make me run. That's right, make me run, because I'm not going to do it voluntarily. Chasing a donut maybe, but never mind. I know health is important. Health is important. Even if you're a writer, it's important to have a healthy body, to have a healthy creative mind. I know all this, but again, those good habits are really hard to get into. Those bad habits are super easy. So anyway, if you write blogs or books on how to write books, then that is your brand. And so now let's move on to fiction. This is a little harder to narrow down because we fiction writers, most of us, have more than one brand, more than one genre of story to write. A lot of us don't want to be put in a box. And so narrowing down a brand is really, really hard for us. When I was first starting out, I took a writing course. It was a very intensive week-long writing course with a very famous author who writes legal thrillers. The course was enlightening in a lot of ways. I learned a ton, so I don't want that to be negated by what I'm about to say. But when there was also a critique part to this class, everybody was critiquing each other's work, and I was working on Quail Crossings. And this author said to me that it wasn't gritty enough. And he also said to me that if I was going to write Christian fiction, I would always have to write Christian fiction. Well, okay, I love Christian fiction. I have no problems with that at all. but I don't want to only write that. I've got a gazillion stories running through my head, and not all of them fall into that Christian baseline that Christian fiction is. And so I was kind of like, really? And, I really wanted to take his information and to heart because he's this famous author and he knows what he's talking about. But he's also traditionally published, so the lines were a little bit changed and a little bit blurred. So I'm very thankful, though, that I didn't take his advice on one thing. Ooh, I'm seeing some people. That's nice. That I didn't take his advice on one thing, and that was to make Quail Crossings gritty. It is not a gritty book, and it hit #1 on the Amazon bestseller list without being gritty. And so it's gotten over, I think, over 600 reviews now, and it's got like a 4.8, I believe, average. And so apparently people like it the way that it is. And so I'm really glad that, that's my point. I'm not just doing the humble brag, but people like the way it is my point. And so I'm glad I didn't take his advice and make it gritty. And I also produced Winter Song, which, it's about paranormal stuff, which doesn't really fall into the Christian realm so much. And so, it's clean because I write clean works, but it's not, and we'll get back to that in just a bit. But anyway, I didn't want to be put in this Christian box because I have other stories to tell, and I'm fascinated by the paranormal and magic and stuff like that. So even being a Christian, I didn't want to be put in this box. And so you can find your brand as a fiction author without being put into a box. Nonfiction, you're in that box. If you write, slice of life, funny mom stuff, then anytime somebody sees Heather Davis, they're going to think slice of mom, funny, humorous stuff. So if she was to write fiction, she would want to do that under a pseudonym, which is what we talked about when we talked about pen names. So then let's talk about my friend Marilyn Boone. She writes young adult books that are a bit of history, a bit of mystery, and a bit of romance. So every time you pick up a Marilyn Boone book, you're going to get that from her. And I happen to know that she is branching out into a holiday series, which is a more contemporary and has adult characters. They're still clean. She writes clean fiction just like I do, but the characters are older, but it still has that history, mystery, and romance in it. So to expect that from Marilyn. That is her brand. So I talked about me a little bit about what my brand is. Okay, so mine is a little bit more, I don't want to say vague, but it's larger. Words are hard. Okay, so I just got done texting my friends and saying that I couldn't think in the morning, so I write at night because words are hard, and yet right now I'm just like, I don't know, words are hard. So here it is at 10:43. I guess words are just hard. I don't know. Anyway, I speak in the English. Okay, so anyway, for me, my brand is more in the lines of my author tag, which is bringing you happy tears. So hopefully when you pick up a book with my name on it, you will think, oh, this is going to be a clean romance or a clean book. They're almost all romance in some way or another. Even my historical fictions have an element of romance, but a clean book that's going to have a happily ever after, and hopefully I make you cry. I should make you cry, unless you don't have a soul. Just kidding. So anyway, so when you see my books, my brand, my author tag is bringing you happy tears, because I'm hoping that you will pick up my books, you will read them, you'll fall in love with them, you'll fall in love with the characters, and when it's ending and you have the happily ever after, or even the happy for now, because not all of my books end in a proposal or a wedding, and sometimes the books end with them kind of starting over. So you don't exactly know where it's going to go, but I give you hope the future is bright. And so when you pick up a Jennifer McMurrain book, that it's going to be clean and have a happy ending, and hopefully you'll fall in love with the characters and you'll cry nice happy tears. So when my Raven Lee series starts coming out, that's not going to be the case. They're not, they're going to be clean for the most part, like PG-13. So and no, Ravina, it's not bad that this is your favorite. It might actually be dedicated to her, maybe. I can't imagine why it's her favorite. Anyway, so when Raven Lee comes out, that's a different brand. That author tag is showing you what lurks in the dark. So that's totally different. you're going to know when you pick up a Raven Lee book that I'm trying to scare you a little bit. Oh, I hope I don't sneeze. I hate it when I sneeze during these things. I know somebody's like, look at a light, say hippopotamus. I don't know if that works or not, but anyway, so that is what your author brand is. It's what you're writing. It's kind of what your genre falls into. For nonfiction, it's very much in a box. For fiction, not so much. You can span out a little bit, but like I said, if you're writing clean romance with happily ever after endings and you switch to horror or like super paranormal realism, then I know that was totally an oxymoron, super paranormal realism, but magical realism is actually a genre, so wasn't too far off when I said that. Anywho, if you pick up a Raven Lee, you're gonna know totally not this, because that's not my brand. When you pick up a Raven Lee, I'm going to show you what lurks in the dark. That's what that author tag is. And you do, as a fiction author, you do kind of have to come up with a author tag. I saw one at a book fair once that was, I was so jealous I didn't come up with myself, but I don't write mystery. I'm trying, but it's way on the back burner. But her author tag, she was a mystery writer, and her author tag was Getting Away with Murder Since 2006. And I was like, oh, that is the best author tag. I loved it. You knew exactly when you picked up her books, you knew it was going to be a murder mystery. And so it was the perfect tag. And I'm sorry that I don't remember who that author was, because I would love to give them like a totally name shout out for being so brilliant with their author tag. But that was like 6 years ago and I just cannot remember. But I remember the author tag. I could probably Google it, but it just popped in my head now. So not everything is on my script. There you go. As you guys can tell by my super rambling. But anyway, so as a fiction author, have an author tag, not necessarily just a book tag or a series tag, but an author tag, bringing you happy tears. Marilyn, a bit of history, mystery, and romance. And then as nonfiction, your brand is going to become pretty clear by what you're writing. So Heather Davis, she tells you too much, but she makes you laugh while she's doing it. Trust me, you'll laugh out loud. Okay. So, and I'm sorry that I can't mention like every author friend that I have. I do try to like pull those in and give them a little shout out, because we are writers helping writers. It is not a competition. And I love these books. I wouldn't show any book that I didn't love. I love these books. Go buy them, okay? Both on Amazon. Okay. Enough about that. All right. Sarah in Oklahoma asks, what is the best way to make social media work for you? Are any sites better than the other? That is a great question, Sarah. Thank you so much. So the simple answer, it's a simple answer, but a hard task. The simple answer is the best way to make social media work for you is to not talk about your books. I know what you're thinking. You're like, but I want to sell my books. Well, that's great, but everybody on social media is trying to sell something, whether it's books, whether it's Scentsy. I just posted a fundraiser site for my daughter this evening. I mean, everybody is trying to Pampered Chef, Usborne Books, and there's nothing wrong with any of those things. It's just that everybody is trying to sell you something right now on social media. Everybody is trying to utilize it. So the best way to utilize it is to not plaster your page with buy my books. So when you do that, when you plaster your page with buy my books, buy my books, buy my books, people start to gloss over that. They look at it as a commercial, because it is. And they don't want to watch commercials. That's why we have TiVos and DVRs, so we can bloop right through them. Okay, so here's what you're going to do. Only post about your books once to twice a week. And don't just say, hey, buy my books. Use other ways, like book posters, book trailers. If you have them, do not spend a fortune on them. If you have them, if you can make them yourself, great, utilize them. If you don't have them and they're not in your budget, that is fine. They can be very, very expensive, and you don't always get a return on those. So use caution with book trailers, but if you have them, use them 100%. Memes, trailers, bloopers, live events, giveaways, all those can work in a way to say, hey, I have a new book out, without saying, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book. I guarantee you, if you say, buy my book every day, 4 times a day, trying to hit everybody's in a different time zone, people are going to start glossing over. They're going to stop reading what you have to say. What you have to do is you have to be a person. Imagine that. You have to be a person on the internet. What? I know, it's crazy. Okay, so you just have to be yourself. I feel I have a pretty good sense of humor, and thankfully, I've got most people on Facebook, which is my jam. They appreciate my humor, so that goes over really well. But I interact with people. It's not just about what I post, it's about what they post too. So if they're having a great day, I'm going to give them that high five. If they're having a bad day, I can send them that hug, because it's all about interacting with people. It's all about the people on the other side of the interwebs seeing you as a person and not just a writer, seeing that you have a family, seeing that you're not, Stephen King rich, that, you have to make ends meet. And sometimes you have to clip those coupons in order to buy that milk because your baby bear is drinking like 14 gallons a day. They need to see those things. If you can find the humor in it, that's great. I wouldn't just post like Debbie Downer stuff. That doesn't work. But you can also post things like, comics about writing. Let people know you're a writer, but you also have the humor about it. You could inspirational posts, stuff like that. The best time to post, if you're going to post like a book poster or an ad or however you're going to put it in there, is between 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. That is when people are relaxing and they're trying to find something to read before bed. And most people read before bed. That's when they're sitting down and opening those books. So that's when you kind of want to be like, oh, hey, by the way, I have a book. The goal is to get people to like you. And then when you say, oh, by the way, I have a book, they buy it because they want to support you, because they want to see. Then you hook them in with that book, and hopefully they want to buy the others because they enjoy your storytelling. That's the goal to social media. The first thing you want to do is you want to find, no social media is better than the other. You have to find what works well for you. For, like I said just a minute ago, Facebook is my jam. I'm on Facebook all the time, sometimes to the detriment of my writing. I really try not to be. My friend Rubina cracks the whip when she sees me on Facebook too long. That's her job as my friend. And so where was I going? Oh my gosh, rabbit trail. Okay, I promise I will never eat that much sugar before I do one of these again. So what was I doing? Finding the right one for you. Goodness gracious, you guys. Thanks for sticking with me. Sometimes I'm just a mess. So anyway, find the one that works for you. Facebook is my jam. I'm really good at Facebook. And now I'm branching out to Twitter. I'm trying really hard to not just go over to Twitter, but engage and learn Twitter. Twitter's hard for me because Twitter is like walking into a party that has already started and everybody's already grouped up, and I just don't know how to like wedge myself into a group. That's what Twitter feels like to me. So I have to get a little bit out of my comfort zone and interact with people on Twitter, because I always feel like I'm interrupting, like I don't really have anything to say, but we all have something to say. So pardon my little rabbit trail there, but find the one that works for you and then branch out. I would start with either Facebook or Twitter. Those are the two main ones. And then I would branch out to probably Instagram. There are others like Tumblr and Pinterest, but in all honesty, I haven't really felt like they have progressed my career. They're fun. I don't go to Tumblr much anymore, but like Pinterest is fun. I really enjoy Pinterest. It's like a huge catalog, and it's really good for inspiration and for storyboarding, but it's not, for me, it's not so great for advertising, if you get what I mean. So it's got its uses, but I do not use it for advertising. So, and then everything that I post on my Facebook automatically posts on my Twitter. And that way it's constantly updating. But again, the key is to be engaging. You have to go over to Twitter. You have to converse with people. They have to get to know you just like they've got to know you on Facebook, or vice versa. So find the one you like the best, learn it. Now, here's what you don't want to post about, okay? Try very hard, very, very hard to stay away from politics and religion, unless that's your brand. If you're a Christian writer, then you post about your religion. That's your brand. If you write political stuff, you post about politics. That's your brand. Okay. As a fiction writer, you kind of want to stay away from that stuff. You kind of want to stay neutral. Now, that does not mean that you're a sheep. There are other ways to, let's talk about politics first. There are other ways to support your candidate without getting into debates on Facebook. Because let's face it, people are stubborn and they're even more so online, even to the point where it can get vicious. So bad word of mouth spreads a lot faster than good word of mouth. You get a bad comment, it's going to go viral before any good comment will. Okay, so you just have to keep that in mind. Now, I wish that Facebook would take the same road as Twitter and cancel all political ads, but at this moment, that's not something that they're willing to do because they want that revenue. And that's a little bit selfish, Mark. I'm just saying, Marky Z, come on now. I think that's something that the world wants, and I think that's something that they really need to look at, but that's a whole totally different thing. If you want to support a candidate, donate to their candidacy, their campaign, go door to door, talk in person to your friends and family. That way there's tone, because there is no tone online, and that's how arguments start. Vote, go to campaign rallies, go to protests that you believe in. These are things, sign petitions. These are things that can actually make a difference. Arguing with random strangers on social media about politics is not something that can make a difference. It will just infuriate you and take up too much of your writing time, and that needs to be sacred. So then we can talk about religion. Now, if you want to post a scripture or two, fine. That's perfectly fine, especially if you're really getting the feels from it that day, go for it. Okay. I'm not saying don't share your faith. I'm just saying don't bombard with your faith unless that's your brand. Okay. Let your actions of your faith speak a lot more than your posts. That's all that I'm saying. I have posted scripture that has, really resonated with me on days, but I don't do it often. And not because I don't love my Jesus. I do. I love my Jesus. It's because I know that not all of my friends are going to relate to it. Because even though I'm a Christian and my faith is me, it's not all of me. And it's not all of my friends. And that's okay. Because like I said, when I was talking about me a few weeks ago, I am a love thy neighbor as they are Christian. And hopefully you'll know what my faith is by my actions and by reading my work. So I don't feel like I need to put that on Facebook every day. I'm not trying to hide it or anything like that. I just know that if it's not your brand, then it can be and that's all you talk about. Like, I'm not, like I said, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying never post about your faith. I'm just saying, I guess really what I mean to say is don't argue about it. Your faith is your faith. You do not have to stand on the balcony of the internet and defend it. You know what you believe, okay? And so don't spend hours and hours trying to convince somebody that their faith is wrong. Let your actions show how great your faith is. Does that make sense? Gosh, I sure hope so, because I don't want anybody to be like mad at me like, oh, you're ashamed of your faith. I'm really not. I love God. I love me some Jesus. I'm far from perfect in that aspect, but I just know that if you start telling other people that they're wrong or they're going to hell, then you're going to have a problem. And you know what? It's your Facebook page. It's your Twitter. So you can post whatever you want to, but just know, like I said before, bad word of mouth spreads a lot faster than good word of mouth. So if you're chastising somebody because they don't believe the same way you do, or they live a different lifestyle than you do, or you're a Trumpster and they're not a Trumpster, that's the kind of thing that will lose you readers. Whether it's fair or not, that is the key. And I'm talking about writing. I'm talking about using your platform for your writing, not just your everyday thing. Okay, so you have to keep it in that context. If you're using your platform for your writing, beware of political and religious posts. Okay? All right. So don't go telling people that Jennifer told you not to post about Jesus, because that's not what I said. All right. Okay, okay. So find your Twitter, find your Facebook, whichever one you love, get excellent at it, and then branch out. Don't talk about your books, talk about yourself, be a person, hug people, high five people, converse with people. It's humanity at its best. It can be. It can also be at its worst. And that's, I guess, why I'm trying to steer you away from religion and politics, is because that's when it gets to be its worst. And so I don't want you to be caught up in that, because it's so disheartening when you get caught up in that. And it floods your mind. And then that anger is taken over, and you're not writing what you should be writing. You're not focusing on what you should be focusing on. You're letting some stranger on the internet control your emotions. And the best way to stay away from that is to stay away from those controversial topics. Stand on that platform in different ways. You don't have to be a sheep, but you can stay away from it on Facebook and Twitter and other social media. Okay, that's it. I'm getting off my soapbox about that. I just hope that my point came across, because I don't want people to be like, oh, she hates Jesus. No, I don't. I love Jesus. And I like this. Okay, so anyway, last question is from Mark in Colorado. And this is an important question. Girl, why your office so messy? That's exactly how I hear it in my head, even though I don't know Mark. I don't feel like he's being judgmental, but maybe he is a little. I don't know. It's okay. But I guess he saw my nano prep live that I did on Halloween, and I was so super tired. I listened back to that. I was just like, oh, Lordy. I sounded exhausted, and I was. Halloween is not for, is not for the weak, especially when you got two kids 8 years apart. Let me tell you, one is ready to run all over the neighborhood. The other one is like ready for bed at 6. I was kind of with the one that was ready for bed at 6, if I'm being honest, even though I got all this awesome candy behind me. So anyway, the reason I picked this question is because I just want to show people nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. My office is a mess. Behind me is not so bad. I kind of try to clear that up before you guys see me, but if you looked in front of me, you would see those boxes and those stacks of paper that people saw during the nano prep. Let me be honest with you. I was ill for like the last 22 months. My pregnancy with baby bear was awful. I was sick the whole time. I had horrible morning sickness. I mean, it was not just in the morning, it was 24/7, and it never really went away. I think there might have been 2 months out of the 9 that I felt even remotely human, and even that was kind of a stretch. And then all my effort was put into catching up, and you never really get caught up, especially in our case, where we were already in the middle of finishing our kitchen remodel, and we had to stop and move my office into what used to be the dining room so we can make a nursery. And so my house is still kind of in that revolving door chaos of trying to move stuff around, which is why there are still a whole lot of boxes in my office. And so my whole pregnancy, I just felt lousy. And then, I had an infant, and anybody with an infant knows that there is not enough time in the day to do everything, and you're exhausted as it is, and you better sleep when that baby sleeps, because that baby doesn't sleep nearly as much as they should. And so, unless you're Hermione Granger and have one of those turntable things, something's going to fall through the cracks. And usually that's housekeeping. And for me, it was definitely housekeeping. There was so much chaos that it was really hard to wrap my brain around. And all I really wanted to do was focus on keeping baby bear alive and the kiddo happy and healthy. Okay. So in the middle of all that, I guess right after all that, that's when the postpartum hit. And depression is rough. And I think my goal here, one of the main reasons that I wanted to answer this question, is that not all illnesses are visible. If I told you I had cancer and you see the bald head, and then I've lost all my hair, then you'd probably offer to clean my house for me. Now, this is not a plea for somebody to come clean my house. That's not what I'm saying here. I'm just saying that if I had a visual disease, like you can usually tell when somebody has cancer, that you'd probably want to come and help me. But there are a lot of invisible diseases. Depression, fibromyalgia. My sister has chronic asthma. It's not always visible. And I don't know how many times in her life she's had people think that she's faking it, because it's not, it's not like the chicken pox all over her body. They can't see it. She told me the story once about spoons. and how in her life she has chronic asthma and fibromyalgia and some other things that I'm not my business to tell, but some other things. And in her life, she has a drawer and it's filled with spoons. And those spoons equate her energy. And some days there are a ton of spoons and she's feeling great and she can get everything she needs to get done. Other days, there are not enough spoons. It'll take a spoon to get out of bed. It'll take a spoon to get dressed. It'll take a spoon to eat breakfast. It'll take a spoon to finish that cover. And then she's out of spoons by noon. So that really hit me, that visualization of the energy and how much energy it takes when you have an invisible illness just to do something like get out of bed. And I understand it more with postpartum and the fact that I have depression, atypical depression and anxiety. But like I said, I never had that sense of melancholy. So where I was tired, getting out of bed was not always a problem. But getting motivated to clean the house would be a problem, if you understand. So there were a lot of times I ran out of spoons. And so my office is probably going to be the last thing that I organize because I'm still moving things out of the nursery closet that go in here and I don't have any storage. So I have to kind of buy storage as I go and see what I need. And so am I making excuses for my messy office? Yeah, I am a bit. But my point here is that you can't judge a person because you don't know what they're going through. And even though they may look healthy and happy like I do on these Facebook Lives, there are days that I don't have enough spoons. And so don't be judgy because you don't know how many spoons are in that drawer. Okay. As she steps off of her other soapbox, I've had lots of soapboxes tonight, haven't I? All right. So why I write. I write for the joy of writing. I am not one of these authors that you're going to see post about how difficult or angsty it is. I'm not an angsty writer. I love it. I love my job. And I even love the challenge of NaNoWriMo. It's not always unicorn farts and glitter. It's hard sometimes. Sometimes those words don't want to come. But every day I get to do a job that I love. And that's what I concentrate on. And I got to tell you, loving storytelling, and every time I get one of these, my heart just jumps in my throat. It's so happy. It's like Christmas. It is so much like Christmas. So, this is my new book. It is coming out on November the 26th, which happens to be my sister's birthday. Happy birthday, girl. So anyway, this book is all about owning yourself. It's about letting people know that it's okay to be that freak, to have that messy office, to be weird or different. Autumn thinks she's the freak in this book, but her uniqueness changes everything for the better and helps a ton of people. She helps more people than she can imagine just because she's a freak. This is my beta book. That's why you're seeing little tabbies there. Those are problems I've already found. So this has gone out to my beta readers today. I'm hoping that they get it back to me by the 18th and that I can get it out on the 26th. We are cutting it so close, but that's okay. And I'm so excited. And so I really hope that the way that Autumn helps people with her weirdness, that my weirdness can also help you, that, you're not just sitting here during 40 minutes of your life being bored out of your mind and that you think my randomness is somewhat funny, at least helpful. And so, like I said, I really hope that I've helped you today. I really hope that my uniqueness and weirdness and freaky sums have really helped you today. If you have a question for me, please PM me on Facebook or send me your questions at jennifermcmurrain@gmail.com. That is McMurrain. It's up there in the little corner in case you can't see it. Or if you're watching me on YouTube, and I really appreciate it when you guys watch me on YouTube. Facebook doesn't get all the love. I love you too, YouTube. It should be right down there. It's down there somewhere, my name. So just jennifermcmurrain@gmail.com. And I will see you right here again next Monday because I am not going anywhere. I am remaining consistent. Same bat time, same bat channel. And until then, happy writing. You guys take care.